Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be back. I hope everyone's enjoying this amazing Wednesday. I am so excited. I'm thrilled to have a very dear friend, someone who I'm inspired by, someone who I admire so much. And I'm really excited about this segment today because all of you know the whole reason for doing these conversations with my people is to really help you get some clarity, to understand how you need to connect so that you can move forward in your life, especially after a time like this, in a more powerful, grounded, purposeful way. And one thing I know about this entrepreneur who we're speaking with today, she has grit. She has perseverance. She's the woman who she had a vision. I mean, a whole new paradigm shift in an area. And she was able to make something so successful out of that. And I love her story. I'm inspired by her story, especially at a time like this, where over 30 million people have lost their jobs. And this is going to be a time when people are going to have to reinvent themselves. They are going to have to pivot and find new ways to actually put a roof over their head, put food on their table to survive. But what I love about this woman is that I really believe she's not going to help you survive. She is going to help you connect so you can thrive. I mean, really thrive. And that's what it's about. We want to thrive. So we're going to start that deep breath work because I want you to hear every single word that she has to say. Okay, so let's do our big, deep, 5 count in. We're going to inhale love. We're going to hold our breath for 5 counts. And then we're going to exhale confidence. Okay, so we're going to inhale love, hold our breath, smile. We're going to exhale confidence with a ha. All right, you guys know it. You've been doing this now. Inhale. Hold your breath, smile. Exhale confidence. Ha. Inhale love right from the bottom of your feet. Hold your breath, smile. Feel that love going through your body, through every cell. Exhale confidence. Ha. Inhale love. Ground your feet down. Feel it coming through the earth. You're one. Hold your breath. Smile. Exhale confidence. Ah. Woo. Feeling good. All right. So now I'm going to introduce you my very dear friend, Deborah Lippmann. And one thing I know about Deborah is she is an artist. I love her story. She started as a singer, as a theater girl. Like that was what her passion was. And she was able to pivot and turn, but really able to keep the essence, to keep her soul, because that's what she did. She was able to keep her soul intact, connected, and then create a business that has it all. So let's welcome Deborah Lippmann. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Lavinia.
Look how gorgeous you look.
Oh my gosh, how gorgeous you look. How beautiful it is to see your face and that smile. And thank you for that breath. I have my nerves are calmed down. My energy is grounded. So thank you for that.
All right. So the first thing we're going to really talk about is like your journey. Like you started as a singer and you were doing well. I mean, you started as a little girl, you got a lot of accolades for your singing, and then in high school, and you went to college and you majored in music, and that was what you were doing. You were pursuing your career. And like all artists, because people, let's know out there that it's only like 1% of actresses and singers can actually make a living doing that. So we know that. I mean, so you were able to do a pivot. But what I love is that you're still singing today. And I love that because I just know that that is so important to your soul, to your essence of who you are. So take us a little bit through your journey, like how you went from singing and how you got to like where you are today.
All right. So when after I got my degree in music, which God bless my mother, was not easy on her, getting me through college. And after I finished, I was singing at weddings and bar mitzvahs and doing musical theater, which didn't pay anything. And the weddings and bar mitzvahs paid. And I was singing in jazz clubs, and that they didn't pay very well. But I really loved musical theater and singing jazz. And at a certain point, I thought, I want my singing to really be meaningful every time I do it. And I don't want to make my bread and butter with bar mitzvahs. Although if you ask me to sing at your wedding and bar mitzvah, I'm right there. It's like right, like right now, I love it. I'll be there. But I wanted to be able to pick and choose what I wanted to do. I didn't want to get sick of singing because it was bringing home the money. So I had to look inside of my soul and go, what else can I do? I tried waiting tables, and interesting that I wore a white blouse today because I poured red pasta with red sauce on a platinum blonde woman wearing a white silk pantsuit on my first day of waiting tables. And so that night after I was fired, I went, I'm going to have to look into something else. This is not my gift. And by the way, it still isn't. I have a coffee here. I will most likely spill it during this chat. There's a good chance. So on my white top. So I really looked at myself and I thought, I love beauty. I love makeup. I love hair. I love skin. I love everything about that. And so one thing led to another, and I wound up in cosmetology school. And while I was in cosmetology school, learning everything, I was in love with everything that I was doing. It was so much fun. I started thinking, I was doing school during the day, 8 hours a day, and then I would go to a gig and stand up on my high heels at night for 4 hours, because when you're doing gigs, it's 4 hours in the high heels. And I decided that my feet were really, really, really sore, even though at the time I was only, 22. And so my manicurist at the time, and I'll backtrack a second to how I have to backtrack in a second, but my manicurist suggested that I go really, really heavy into the manicure program, because I could sit down all day long and then stand up for 4 hours a night in my heels and my feet wouldn't hurt. Now, why this is really bizarre and interesting and actually beautiful and gorgeous and was meant to be is I had been a nail biter my whole life, a nail biter down to the nub. And when I got my first job after college singing in a show, it was there were costumes and rhinestones and feathers. It was like a Las Vegas showgirl kind of thing. And I went to dress rehearsal and picked up the microphone, and my nails were bitten to the nub like bloody stumps. Sorry to gross anybody out, but like it was bad.
Truth.
And the next day, the director of the show took me to a salon to get my nails done for the first time. And I had a set of, they were actually porcelain nails at the time, dental porcelain. That's how long ago that was. So I went from being like this, not even realizing how ashamed I was of my hands, to finishing the manicure and going, oh my goodness, I'm so empowered. Oh my gosh. And I really realized that my hands are in front of, your hands are in your periphery all day long. So you can do your hair, you can do your makeup, we know what we look like, when we leave the mirror, and your clothing and all that, but your hands are a constant reminder to yourself through the day of whether you're finished or not, whether you are put together or not. And so when I was in cosmetology school, I had never done my own nails, ever. So when I sat down to do my first manicure, I mean, sweat was pouring out of me. This was long before I decided that was where I was going to go. And so I was to say that I was terrible would be really an understatement. To say that I had no talent in that would be really an understatement, or I didn't think I did, which kind of runs all the way through it. It's like work, work, work till you get better, till you get good. And there's this old adage, and there's this old saying in the arts world: how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely.
And that is whether you are, I just got chills doing that. No, I have not been singing in Carnegie Hall. I did walk on the stage once, but that could come in the future. So practice, practice, practice. So whether that's, you know, in business, whether that's in sports, whether that's in your working out, whether that's in your relationship, it's always work. Whether it's in, you know, my team that I work with now, that I love, that I'm passionate about. So as you said, Lavinia, I didn't go to school for business. I had no, if you would have asked me, my brand is 21 years old. First of all, if you had asked me when I was 18 or 19 or 20 or 21, if I was going to be a manicurist, I would be like, I bite my nails, so no.
Not likely.
If you would have asked me in 1993, when I moved to New York, if I was going to, in 2020, have a global beauty brand, I would have said, not likely, pretty, yeah, that's just not a possibility. So one of the things that I'm really excited about today is to try to encourage you, to let you know that if I can do this, if I can become an entrepreneur with no background, with no history, with no MBA, with no finances, you can too. And I know that, you know, this talk today is going to be about pivoting. So I've been a pivoter apparently since before I knew what pivoting was, because I had to pivot from my goal of being a singer, which, as you know, I mean, I'll always be a singer, because when you're a singer, you're a singer. When you're an artist, you're an artist. I started doing manicure school, as I said, and then I was standing on my high heels 4 hours a night or at cosmetology school. And then I really fell into this manicuring thing. And then I started to fall in love with holding hands with people, that touch, that intimacy. I'm clearly a people person. I love myself you know, my husband always jokes that, like, we'll get into a cab and with, like, well, in the old days, we got into a cab in New York City, where we live. And we would be there. If there were 4 people, 3 people in the back seat, I would pop in the front. And by the time we would get where we were going, I'd be hugging the cab driver. Oh my gosh, please wish your wife the best for me. And Jude would, like, look at me and go, when did that happen? I love people. I love people. I love life. I love people. So getting into doing this thing of hands, my first or second job in Phoenix, which is where I grew up and where I went to school, and where I was kind of a big fish in a small pond as a singer. I was really working a lot. I was very, very blessed there. And I worked at this day spa called With Love Beyond, that it was the owner was very, very, very ahead of her time. Her name was B''ANNE, Barbara Ann. And it was I remember sitting with her when she hired me, and her saying, we do facials here, we do massages here, we do makeup, we do, waxing, we do hair, we do color, we do, every service. But she said to me, the manicure is the most intimate. You're sitting across from someone, the first time you meet them, you take their hand in yours, and their energy comes to you, and your energy comes to them. And that was so powerful to me. And that has been something that has really, really served me in my whole career of when I'm touching people, whether it's through my eyes or whether it's through my hands. And I think in the future, I may have to be pivoting and doing it with gloves on and giving the love through my eyes. So she really gave me really, 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 that nugget was so powerful to me. And so I worked there for a while. I worked there for a long time. And I had this really odd thing where in every salon that I worked in Phoenix, I would end up like getting this just amazing clientele. I was just on the phone with my friend Marlene Galan, who was the like head newscaster in Phoenix. The governor's wife became my client. The attorney general, who's a man who's actually married to Marlene, became my client. My clients were sort of like the who's who socialites of Arizona. And so we would, you know, when you're holding hands with someone, it's like you just share things. It's like I don't sit and hold hands with my husband 30 minutes a week.
Right.
And so you have your clients and in that day and age, you know, in that day, we would see the same person week in and week out. You would book, it was a kind of a different story than it is now. Mm-hmm. So we really knew so much about each other. You know, I would say 8 out of 10 of the people in my bridal party, of which there were 10, I'm sorry to say, I'm not sorry to say, I'm very happy to say it was gorgeous, but I think 8 of them I met in my manicure chair and I'm still friends with today.
Well, actually, let's talk about that, because what I would say, the way I talk about entrepreneurship and especially with young people, is you kind of found your lane. Like you found, like when things happen like that, it's because you're connecting. So let's really talk about that, because a big part of success is really being able to, number one, connect to yourself. And what it sounds like is that lovely woman, Barbara Ann, planted a seed. She like planted a seed inside of you to give your purpose much bigger and deeper than just like filing nails and painting them. So when you showed up, who was showing up was somebody who was like, I'm a healer. Because when you touch somebody, you know, there's always a saying in yoga, if you can't feel it, you can't heal it. So when you're in these crazy poses and you're feeling it, it's like, okay, I'm healing it right now, because you have to move it to get the blood in there, right? So it's that same thing. Like she planted that seed that just it almost like filled your heart. It allowed you to look at the perspective of what you were doing in such a bigger, more loving, more purposeful way, you know, and then you connected with these people. And I think some of that comes from within you. Like I just look at you and I always see a connector. I mean, even you're always there to help, and if you need any help with this or that, like you're always connecting people, you're connecting energy, you're always sharing so generously with everything. Like I think that's just the essence of who you are. And I think that that's something really important for young people and young entrepreneurs to have, because it came maybe innately to you and even to me, but you can work on that.
Yeah.
People can work on that. That's actually a tool. And you know what you talked about, like I always say, consistency and repetition create success. Consistency and repetition. So you could create things that you do and be consistent and keep repeating it, that actually helps you connect with people, for those people that don't naturally do that. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that was a big part of you creating that.
It really was. So let me backtrack a little bit and let you know that I was not outgoing as a kid. I wasn't outgoing. I have a dear friend named Daryl Brown, who I became friends with in high school. And if it weren't for him, I don't know, you know, when you look at people in your life and like, what if she wasn't in my life? What if he wasn't in my life? Where would I be? He believed in me and brought me out of my shell. And that's like an entire conversation. And that's an entire worldly conversation. But I was really shy in high school. I was afraid of my own shadow in grade school. I had a weight problem my whole life. I felt less than, you know, I came from a very, very broken home. And so it took me until really when I was in high school and met this person who believed in me and loved me. And okay, I'll just tell the story because I haven't told this in a long time. So Daryl, his name is Daryl Brown. And he's now a super successful record producer. He manages Leanne Rimes. He has now produced 2 of my albums, which you can get on Apple Music or.
That.
You know, that's my favorite thing to say of anything. You can get my music on, you know, iTunes. But Daryl wanted to be. There was a dance contest that was happening in Phoenix, and he was a fabulous dancer, and he needed a dance partner spur of the moment. And I was extremely round and extremely insecure, but I could dance. That's how we connected.
Yeah.
And he literally came into my house, came up my mom's stairs, came into my bedroom. I knew he was doing this because he kept calling me and saying that he was going to come. And he physically pulled me out of my bed, helped me put clothes on, kind of put clothes on me. It was okay because whatever, we were in high school. Well, does that make it okay? I don't know why it was okay. But anyway, he dragged me into a dance competition and we won. And we then became, this was in the disco days. You girls are all probably too young to know what disco is, but it was a thing in the 70s. And we became the Arizona State Disco Champions.
Oh my gosh.
And I had never, yes, I had performed, but when you perform, you're playing another character. This was me being me. That was what really helped me. It was like my friend who was persistent and believed in me and was basically he just needed a dance partner and girl, you're here, so I'm taking you and we're going to do it. And we won the Arizona State Disco Champion. Big round girl, 200 pounds.
Amazing.
Skinny, tall, gorgeous man. And that really, really, really formed who I became.
Well, I would imagine that gave you courage, that gave you confidence. It made you get rid of certain stories that we might have, like, oh my God, I can't do that, I'm too overweight. Oh my God, I can't do that, I didn't practice enough. Oh my God, I didn't do that. We have all these things that stop us. And we all need people that just elevate us, push us, sometimes throw us into a situation, and we just show up. We have that in us. There's so much inner strength that we have, but we have to have that push sometimes to connect to that. That's why I always say with younger people, or you don't have to keep safety netting your kids. You don't have to keep safety netting them. Let them go, let them fall, because it's when they pick themselves up, or when they have that moment like you, to just kind of have to find that inner strength to bring the best version of yourself. That's where self-esteem starts. It's that moment. It's the self-esteem just connected. If it was a thing, it was I connected into that. And then once you connect like that, you could just keep going. So that is such a gift that you got that. I remember the thing when I got that too. So I know how powerful that is. So I want to go, because we could keep talking all day, and I want to definitely get to that moment where you were doing my nails in my house, and I'll never forget this. And you said to me, I have an idea for my own nail care, my own nail polish and everything. And I remember sitting there thinking, and you were telling me about it, how it would be more natural, and it would be, and of course, even in those times, I was already on that path. Every time I would do my nails, I was always have this little thing oh my God, I hope this stuff isn't unhealthy. I think by 18, I was doing detoxing. I don't know why or how, but that was just, it downloaded in me. So nails were definitely something that was high on my, I'm not sure I should really be doing this, but I was a nail biter too when I was young. And yeah, I actually bit nails for a little bit, but cuticles for a long time. And then when I finally started doing my nails, the same thing, I loved it. It's definitely my favorite accessory. Probably because I'm the one that sees it. Even with, I love jewelry and I love my rings, but if I don't like the way my nails look, I will take all the rings off and the jewelry, because I just don't want to bring attention to my hands. So my manicures are so important to me. But I want you, what you did, Deb, was huge. You completely changed the way people looked at nail care, because women just they weren't connecting in those days about health, real health of the nails. They just weren't. And I think so often people think, oh my God, if it's out there on the shelves, the FDA approved it or whatever, it's got to be healthy for you, because they wouldn't put anything on the shelves that isn't healthy, which, by the way, people, is wrong.
So wrong.
So wrong. I mean, look, I always say, like, if I won't put it on my skin, if I wouldn't put it in my mouth, because literally 60% of what we put on our skin ends up in our bloodstream, 60% in like 9 minutes. So for me, I've been using like coconut oil and olive oil and flaxseed oil on my body for 20 years because I just thought, well, that's a lot of space of getting into my bloodstream. So, I mean, it's amazing that 22 years ago, you already saw that. Like you had a vision. I mean, that was like original. That was really like groundbreaking to see that, like to just really connect to that. And then I remember you saying to me, I have this idea. I know it's a great idea. I just know it, but I don't know anything about business. And I remember saying to you, like, I didn't know anything about business. We didn't really about starting a business. We didn't really know anything about starting a business. And it was just like, you know what? You'll figure it out. And I think the big thing that you had is, which I think is a big distinction that I talk to young entrepreneurs all the time, is like, you had this burning desire. Like you had this desire. It was burning inside of you to bring this forth. Like, I'm going to bring this forth. And you were willing to sacrifice like the hours, the work, the commitment. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, I want weekends free, or oh my God, I want to like do this, or oh my God, I want to go to the Hamptons. Like it was just like when you have that burning desire, that's when I tell young people, yeah, I think you're going to have to do this because you could just see that they're unstoppable. Like that was really what I kept seeing from you is this, you know, this unstoppable, this like burning desire. So talk to us a little bit about how you went from that and then how you went and literally just started the business, because I think it's such a great story. And especially in a time when there were no computers, there were no Google, there were none of that. There were yellow pages. Like we had yellow pages.
Yellow pages. And try finding a nail polish lab in the yellow pages. Didn't exist. Nail polish chemist in the yellow pages. Let's see. Where do I begin? So everything in my life, guys, have been someone like Lavinia, someone like my friend Daryl, so many people that I would talk to. So I didn't have a fear of talking one-on-one to people, but I really had to learn to listen and take the advice. I find that a lot of times when I'm talking to people, when they'll ask me a question about how do I start my own business? And as soon as I start talking, their eyes glaze over. And there are two things. One is that I see, okay, their mind is like completely going on their idea. So that's exciting. But, you know, you need to listen. You need, you know, if you want to know, listen. But I kind of think that if I had listened, if I had really known what I was doing, except for lucky people, people that were blessed like you, a lot of people would be like, are you kidding? You're going to start a business. You've got no money. You've got no education in this. You can't. I had so many stories of you can't. But I had those few people that I really, really trusted who said you can. So that was really, really, really important. And I was, you know, I was singing at the time. And so I'd moved to New York. By this point, I obviously was living in New York. I'd moved to New York to pursue music and to really, was a big fish in a little pond. I wanted to come here. And I didn't know when I got to New York if I'd ever be able to open my mouth on a stage again. But I did, and I have, and I do. And so I was working in my day job, and I had all this, you know, listening to women who just knew everything about their hair. They understood how to speak to their hairstylist. They understood how to speak to their skincare person, but they didn't know how to speak to their manicurist. They would just say, you know, things that they wanted me to put unhealthy things on their nails and then ask me to use a healthy nail polish. It was that's where I really was like, there's a disconnect here. And I kept hearing that over and over and over again. So when I had the idea and I was talking to you, Levin, it was like, but I'm a singer. I came here to sing. I'm really a singer. And if I start this other thing, how am I going to sing? And guess what? You can, and I will, and you do, and you will, and you just can. So basically when I was fighting with myself in my own head, I was like, I don't want to do this, but I did have this crazy burning passion to help people with their nail care. and I didn't really know how to help people with nail care. I just knew that it needed to happen. So I talked to a friend of mine who had a makeup brand, and I said, could you give me the name of somebody, like, I need to get started. I don't know where to get it packaging. I don't know where to do anything. And Sue Devitt, Australian beauty, Sue Devitt, from Sue Devitt Beauty, gave me the name of Benny Calderon at Aeropac Glass in Long Island. And I went out to Long Island. I, went out there. I got a meeting with Benny, and Benny gave me Benny helped me with the bottle, and he showed me bottles, and then he gave me the name of 10 other vendors, because in your nail polish, so this is a bottle, and this is a cap, and then the brush is inside, and then the juice is inside, and then there are BBs inside, and those all come from different people. And then it goes inside a box, which is another person, and then the box has a label on it, and then the box has to get printed on. I mean, I was like, wait, I just want to make like pretty colors. They're healthy
colors.
Little did I know. And guess what? You just put one foot in front of the other. You put one foot in front of the other, and people are really happy to help you. People are really happy to give you advice, but don't expect to be able to have the weekends off. Don't expect to be able to sleep through the night. When we first, this is one of my favorite stories. My husband and my brother ended up jumping in to help me right off the bat when I had the idea. And Jude and I lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment in Chelsea. And we had an 800 phone number on our landline, because there were no cell phones at the time, that rang into our apartment. And we had our first piece of press, which happened because I had the guts to go to somebody at a magazine and say, hey, I'm doing this. And that person listened and thought it was interesting, and put my name in the magazine, put the bottle in the magazine, and put our 800 number in the back magazine. And at like 3:00 in the morning, the phone rings, and we're like, and I jump out of bed and I go to the phone and I'm like, hello. And they were like, hi, I'm interested in ordering some polish. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, so it became this thing where the phone would ring all night long, and Jude and I would go, your turn to feed the baby, because we don't have any kids. So your turn to feed the baby, your turn to feed the baby.
And it really is a baby.
And it really is a baby. All the colors are my children. People ask me all the time what my favorite color is. And it's, they're all my children. I created them all.
And what I love about your line is, as you said, like, as technology changed, like, you kept improving and kept improving and kept improving. So the line that you started with 22 years ago has transformed with all of the new technology that's available to just make things healthier and less chemicals and healthier. And that's what's always been your vision. And that's what I always tell young entrepreneurs. It's like, you have to be able to morph and change, but your vision never changes. It's like your personal thing is like, your core values don't change with circumstances. And that's what you have been able to constantly do, is like, you're so clear on your vision, on your mission, on your culture, what you do. And you've just stayed in it. When other people came in and tried to make things cheaper or make things this, like, you just stayed steady through it. And I admire that so much, because that's admirable. Like, sometimes you're in like really turbulent water at that time. And I know at times it could be like, how can we? No, we have to just stay clear on who we are, what our mission is, what we're doing. And we don't vacillate. We don't change regardless of the circumstances. And that's even what you did to here now. Like, I mean, you were in a situation where Barney's closed. One day, all these spas closed, the nails, like, all of that, boom, stopped. I mean, think about it. That is frightening, girl. Like, that is like.
Yeah. We've had a lot of moments where we thought, oh, I don't know how we're going to keep on keeping on. And the reason we did keep on keeping on, and I think the reason we kept fighting, and this is, again, one of those things where you'll never know, but we had a friend that was interested in investing us in the very, very beginning. And when we got close to taking the money, we realized that we didn't have the same vision, and we didn't know we just in our guts knew that we needed to do it ourselves. And then like 5 or 6 of our friends gave us some money, some seed money. So thank you to all of you. We love you so, so, so much. People just believed in me, including my accountant, who should have known better, but believed in me. That was powerful. My accountant who knew that I had no money.
It's that passion. It's that commitment. It's that, like, you know that you were going to sacrifice every single thing to make this happen. And those are the people that I invest in. I mean, yes, it has to be a great brand. Yes, I have to love it. I have to see the white space. I have to see for me and how it's going to help someone, because those are the things I invest in. But at the end, you're investing in the entrepreneur.
Right.
Is this person an excuse person? Is this person always pointing a finger at somebody else? Is this person always coming up with all these reasons why they can't do it? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, not my entrepreneur to invest in. Like, I'm the one that there's a no right now, but it could be a yes tomorrow, and on to the next. And that's you. Like, that is clearly who you are. That's the way you've done it. It's like next, and then you get somewhere. Boom. And I admire that, because that is also the tenacity and the focus and the way people are going to have to be over the next couple of years. Like, it's that level of grit. It's that level of perseverance. It's that level of, commitment and focus. I mean, and hopefully you have something, because I will say this: if you don't have something inside that's a burning desire, like really a burning, like, don't do it, because the chances are you are not going to be able to be successful, and just talk about like how you just keep going, or how do you even realize, like, when did you get to a point, Deborah, where you're like, oh, I'm a brand. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, we all have that moment. Like, before, we're just like, dang, I'm just a slave to this thing. I'm a slave. I am like the grunt, the worker, I'm like the workhorse. Like, for so long, like at Equinox, it's just like, oh, we're all the workhorses. Myself and my brothers, we were just that. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's like something happens and you're like, oh, we're a brand. Oh, it was like, and that just had such a shift. And I'll tell you mine afterwards, but tell me yours.
So mine was, we're still a very, very, very small team. We have 8 people. We have 8 big-hearted, very, very, and I'm very proud to say that we still have our whole team at full salary. So thank you to all of you. Yes, and they're just so passionate, and we consider them family. But years ago, there was a piece of press that came out in Women's Wear Daily, and it said the top nail brands are Chanel, Dior, Deborah Lippmann.
Wow.
And I looked at this piece of press, and my eyes about bugged out of my head. I couldn't breathe. My tongue was like, and I went into my husband's office and pulled him out, and pulled my brother out, and they're like, we're busy. We don't have time for a chat. Cause of course I chat too much. And I was like, no, we need to do this. And I made us all hold hands. And then with my one hand, I showed them the piece of press, and I read it out loud. And I said, everybody take this in. And this is before I did yoga. This is before I did any breath work. This is before I knew any things that I know now. And I said, let's all take this in right now. We're going to read it aloud to each other. And then we all read the sentence to each other. And then I, of course, was weeping. And then I'm like, okay, go back to work and put out your fires. And so it's an interesting thing where it's very rare that I will look at the brand and go, oh, that's my brand. It's more like, okay, what's next? What do I have to do next? What haven't I done yet today? What do I have next on my list? That's really where my mind is. And it's, we're still so, we do it every day. We live and breathe Deborah Lippmann. When I'm not, trying to sing on someone's album or sing in a nightclub, which is going to happen again, right?
It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Like, I remember with us, we were doing these focus groups. It was the first time, Equinox had been open for about 5 years. So it was like the first time that we hired an advertising company where we actually had enough money that we could hire an advertising company. And we hired this guy, David Anton, who was amazing. And it was like, you have to do these focus groups. So we organize all these focus groups and people get paid. I don't know if you've ever done focus groups, but they go in a certain place and then there's a window so you can see what they're happening. And they ask a myriad of questions to all these different people and the people get paid for it. So we're just sort of understanding, getting more information about what they think about us, what they know about us, what they, blah, blah, blah. So this was, and it was myself and my brother, Danny, were sitting on the other side of this window and we're sitting there and all of a sudden somebody said, well, you know, I think they're owned by Nike. And it was like, we looked at each other and it was like, and then the other person's like, yeah, they're definitely owned by somebody really big because they're like, they're a big company and they're being, you know, presented to be this huge and and him and I just looked at each other and we were like, that became our joke to each other. We're like, we're owned by Nike. Like, but it was like the biggest compliment somebody could give you that like you got, you know, like, yeah, the three of us created this brand that like New Yorkers, like we're not like sitting here talking about something in like, you know, St. Louis, maybe they would think, but like you're in the heart of New York City with these movers and shakers and they're like, oh yeah, like they're owned by Nike. And that was that moment when it like all clicked, like, oh dang, like I think we really have something. I think we have a brand. Like people think we're owned by Nike. And like sometimes when we were dying and we were tired and we were exhausted and like I could barely open my eyes because I was just so tired. I look at my brother and like, we're owned by Nike. And I would think like, where's the Nike right now with the money? Like where's like, right. Where's like that? Because we're just like three of us. And yes, we had an amazing team, but you know, at the end of the day, you're holding it. Like at the end of the day, it's the three of you.
Yeah.
Like they're getting paid. Like there were weeks where, or months really, where my brothers and I could barely take paychecks.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like, but your people had to get paid. They got paid regardless, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so when it's that real and it's that gritty and it's that, so when you have that moment when somebody sparks you, and it also, it makes you go, okay, we can keep doing this. We can keep doing this.
Exactly. It fuels your fire. It fuels your fire.
So let's just, because we're going to have to end pretty soon, but let's talk about
that.
We know vision. Like in order for somebody to be successful, they have to have a great vision. They have to have grit. They have to have perseverance. But like, what are the other pieces that we would say? And like, keep it real, because like, that's one thing in my entrepreneur workshops, I always like to say, like, I'm going to give it to you real people. You know, like I'm this person where I plan for the worst and I expect the best. Because when you plan for the worst, then you kind of know what you have to do. Like in an earthquake, trust me, every single thing in our house is planned for an earthquake. Mm-hmm. And I pray and I expect that we'll never have to use it, but it's all in place. And that's how I look at everything. That's how I look at business. That's how I look at, you know, healing or, you know, or whatever it is. So I'm prepared. So what three things would you say to young people out there? Like, these are my 3 bits of advice that you have to understand to really like make it through this and really bring your brand to fruition. Like, what would that be?
So I would say from our experience, no matter how much we plan, no matter how prepared we've been, we've had crazy things happen that you couldn't have planned for. You absolutely couldn't have planned for. I mean, there was a typhoon once in one of our labs and we were going to have to miss a ship date. There was, I mean, there are things that you can't plan for. So you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to figure out. You have to have great relationships with everyone that you work with, whether it's, for me, it's with my laboratories, with my chemists, with my, you know, my husband has to have a good relationship with the filler, with, you know, we have to have good relationships with them. And you have to have good relationships with your buyers, the people who are buying your products. So all of it is about asking don't take no for an answer. Can't take no for an answer. You have to keep going and figuring out a way until you get a yes. And when you, I mean, in the early days, my best example of this was that I would just call. I would call on my home phone because there were no cell phones. I would call laboratories until they took my call. Because why would they take my call? They've never heard of me. I have no brand. I have nothing. So you just have to be diligent. You have to stick with it. And it's interesting because in my singing, I'm not able to stick with it as much. I'm not able to ask for as much in my singing as I am in the Deborah Lippmann brand. It's been an interesting thing that I'm still trying to figure out. But you have to really, really, really look for that yes. Figure out a way to get a yes. Figure out a way, and know that, you know, a lot of people have done it before you. And just because because they're a huge brand doesn't mean that they know everything. Because, you know, we've had people come. Yeah, it's like, you have to find your own journey. Your journey will be yours. There's room for everybody. I used to be really afraid that when other brands, because we were the first to market in this sort of natural nail care in luxury. And when other brands started trying to come in and do the same thing, I became very fearful. And then I realized competition is good for business, but I didn't know that starting out. Competition is good for business. So kind of, it's helped me get through lots and lots of my fears. You have to know that you know, you're not going to get a lot of sleep, and it is 24/7. You have to figure out a way to find boundaries, which is why exercise has become so important to me, and yoga and breathing and friends and now cooking, whatever it is. You have to have these, you know, other things, but you're also, you know, you're not going to sleep a lot because you're going to be so excited, and you're going to be so stressed, and you're going to be so excited, and you're going to be so happy, and you're going to be so stressed. So don't take no for an answer. And let me see. This is really important. You know, we woke up 10 weeks ago to 300, at least 300 of our stores closing in the same day, 300 or more. And I remember my husband and I looked at each other and went, wow, this might be it. This might be, you know, we've faced the times, a bunch of times where we thought, oh, you know, can we keep alive? Are we going to keep it alive? And we did. And guess what? We still are. But we looked at each other that day and we said, well, if it all goes away, we are such better people for having done this. We are such better people for having done this and for having learned it.
Yeah, because nobody can take that journey away from you. Like I always say, like if I lost all my money tomorrow, you know, life would be different, but it wouldn't matter because it was that journey up that hill. Like while you're, you know, you're up there and you're learning and you're gritting it out and you're fighting and you're this and you're, it's like that just added all these dimensions of who you are. It made you stronger. It made you commit more. I mean, every journey is your journey. And like sometimes like the dirtier it is and the grittier it is and the harder it is, like challenging in your heart, it's actually the more meaningful it is on so many levels, like so many levels. When I look at my friends who just kind of took like, and I'm not judging, but just kind of took the easier way. I look at who I am, the textures of me. I look at the textures of you. Like there's so much texture because nobody could take that away, that we could persevere, like not knowing like, oh my God, we got to pay our rent. We got to pay this. We got like, there's just something that you get in that journey that has so much depth. It has so much meaning. It has so much intimacy. It just has layers and layers and layers that makes you and your husband him and me. And it's like, you know, I would never have changed anything, even if I lost everything today. You know, God, I don't want to lose everything today. I just want to make that really clear. Cancel. I don't want to lose that.
Cancel.
Cancel that. I don't need that lesson. Trust me. I have enough lessons going on. But it's like, it gives me that level of confidence. When I walk in a room, I don't even need the title. I don't need Lavinia for making oxygen. Like, I don't need that. Like, I own who I am. because every cell in my body has gotten me there. Like these hands have been very dirty. You know, these eyes have had toothpicks to have to hold them open. This heart has cried because I had to leave my son when I felt like a shitty mom. Like, you know, but I did it. And when you have that, like nobody can ever take that away from you. Like that's like an inner strength that you just own. So it's like, I want everybody to have that, even though I know everybody is not meant to have that. Like they're just not, because it's so not for everyone. But, you know, it's a lane. And when you find your lane and you're in it, it's like, dang, it's so amazing to be able to do that. And I'm so grateful that I had the courage to do it, and not, you know, like, and that's how it is with you. It's like, oh, I'm so happy I had that courage to do it. Like, you don't know if it, all the different things, and that you were lucky that some of the mentors that showed up in your life to mentor you. I mean, it's so exciting. It's just so exciting. So the last thing I want to say is,
one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. You don't have to see when you're starting how you're going to get there, because you're just not going to know. You're not going to know. And your journey, if you start a healthy nail polish brand tomorrow, your journey will be completely different than mine. Right. Completely different than mine. I can. Come here, Jude. Come here, Jude. Here's my husband and boss. Here's my husband and boss. Here he comes in. There's the big guy. There's the big guy. There's the big guy.
Hi. Oh my God, you're right. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. I'm like,
oh my God,
but you are.
This is Jude. This is
Hi.
Jude, who is my business partner, husband, and now my boss. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Okay, thanks.
No.
That doesn't
you guys collaborate together. It's amazing.
Bye.
So, you know, I do want to say something that, like, you know, when this first thing started, I was freaking out about my nails because, like I said, first of all, you see how much I talk with my hands. Like, people will all the time be like, I love when you do this, or like that has become like my little signature thing, my hands. So and I've been getting manicures, literally, I think since I was 16 years old. Like that was just because I was biting my nails. I will say this, for probably the last 10 years, I bring all my products with me. You know, I actually buy them and I leave them at the salon that I go to, because I've watched a lot of my friends have all these different funguses and all this crazy stuff that I always thought, like, no, I don't want to have to deal with that. So I've done that. But then even more importantly, this time I've watched a couple of your Instagram lives on how to do it. And I've been doing it myself. And I'm like, oh my God, like there's something about it that is so empowering to be able to do it. And also not just that, but it takes a lot of time to go to the nail salon and do this. It's like, and I have priorities in my life, and I really don't want, like, beauty. It is a priority, or self-care is a priority, but I don't want to have to overextend that. So for me, it's like, I want to be able to do my manicures at home. And I'm so excited about doing that. You know, I mean, sure, you know, maybe once a month I'll go when everything opens and we know that everything's really, really safe. I'll go back to my nail spa to do that once a month. But I'm so excited. And what I love is, after I watched your one of your first ones, I literally got online and ordered everything. I was like, I mean, I already had your nail polish and I think your nail polish remover is like the best. It's amazing. And it actually, how can nail polish remover actually smell good? But it does. So I already had that. I had your top coat, I had your base. I already have like 5 or 6 of your gel colors already. So I know you're selling that. I mean, it's online, and I know people have been watching and they're doing it. And I think you're even offering a special right now for people if they go on to DeborahLippmann.com. I think it's 20% discount.
Yes, we're offering, if you, wait, did we tell you what it is? Because I don't remember.
I know what it is. It's a 20% discount on anything over $100.
Right.
So, you know, and again, your cuticle remover, as far as I'm concerned, is hands down the best I've ever used ever.
Hands down? Hands down?
Yeah. Like I say, like, I was going to open it and say, the one thing about this woman is she's nailed it. And she's nailed it. Like, she's nailed the nail thing, and she's nailed the business thing. Like, she's nailed the love marriage thing. Like you have just nailed it, girl, in every category. I truly am. I admire it so much because I see people all the time that are these entrepreneurs and yet they don't have healthy marriages, or they don't even have a marriage, or, like they haven't really cultivated friends because all their friends are just what I call agenda ships. They're not really friendships. They're just agenda ships for you help me and I help you. But you have really maintained like such integrity and friendships. I mean, there's just so many things about you, Deb. We could talk forever because I really do love all the layers of you. Like all the layers of you I admire. So you're gonna do, and I guess the code for that for DeborahLippmann.com is inside out in order to get it. And I think it's through the end of May. So I'm so excited because I do think that the home care nail stuff is going to be part of our new normal.
I do too. I think whether you're using my products, whether you're using anybody else's, but the biggest takeaway I would like you to have from this is please take everything with you when we go back to our salons. If it hasn't been with you, you don't know where it's been. Every single thing needs to come with you. And also, I mean, I wouldn't even leave it at the salon because then there's a chance that it'll accidentally get used on somebody else. I would actually just, and it's another level that we're going to have to go to, but take it yourself, or really find out that, like Lavinia, that you can do it yourself. And this self-care is wonderful. It is wonderful. I'm so proud to see so many of my friends who are now taking care of their nails themselves and are like, wow, I'm finding such confidence in myself. I feel better. I'm like really, really empowered that I can do my own nails. And you can.
I also want to tell one other story because I feel like when I heard this a couple months ago, I feel like I'm supposed to share it. I was at the doctor's office. It must have been about 4 months ago, doing where I get a little laser brightening done. And not the esthetician, she's the physician's assistant. She said, I saw her nails and I guess I gave her a look like, dang, girl, you need to have those nails. They were bad. And she goes, Lavinia, don't look at my nails. Don't look at my nails. And I'm like, okay. And she said, I'm growing the gels out. She said, because it's daunting how many women have come in with cuticle cancer. And I was like, cuticle cancer? She goes, yeah, those gels have literally, they don't know if it's from the lights they put them under. And I was like, wow, I haven't heard that. She goes, well, either have we, but in the last year, we've seen a lot of women. And she said, and the doctor said to me, and I told him, well, I don't use the one with those lights. And he said, you know what? I called my sister and told her to take those gels off. My wife, take those gels off. And he said, and I'm going to tell you, take those gels off. Again, I just think like,
wow,
we have to demonstrate wisdom over vanity. Like that is just my mantra all the time. Like I am going to demonstrate wisdom over vanity. Yes, vanity is amazing and we all have that. But I think we have to like do our research and we have to understand that this stuff, like, maybe the nail is dead, but everything around it isn't. And I think, it's really time to not, we have to look at vanity and say, you know what, I'm not going to compromise. I mean, that has really been my mantra my entire life. So I think people need to have more of that. Like, and that's another reason why I've always loved your nail line. I feel like I could trust you. Like I could trust that you are not going to have something that I'm going to use and then could have, a negative situation. And I think like with nails, look, there's some things that are out of our control. Like the air is out of our control. We can't live in a bubble. We are definitely exposed to crazy, the radiation all around us, crazy. But I think the things that we can have a little bit of control of and choice around, like that's where we have to elevate it a little bit because our bodies just can't keep getting inundated with all of these toxins. They just can't. Like we have to be able to not to make better choices in that. Deb, I know we really went over. I have a request.
Yes.
Would you sing a little bit for us? Would you just sing something that because your voice is amazing and it's your spirit and it's what you're passionate about. So please, beforehand, share a couple of bars.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, oh, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Amazing.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love
I love it.
I love
Okay, everybody, thank you so much. You can get on to laviniaerrico.com. We're going to be downloading a bunch of information. Get on to deborahlippmann.com and order your home kits, your home products now, and just start. Couple of things. On Saturday, we have Donna De La Cruz. She's amazing. A lot on you know Donna, right? Meditate. She's a brand. She's an entrepreneur. She's a meditation teacher. She's a goddess. I mean, she is just so full of love and beauty and joy and wisdom. Really amazing. I'm so happy to have her on. And then on Sunday,
Donna taught me how to meditate.
I know. Donna's taught a lot of people in New York how to meditate. Like, she's a huge meditation teacher.
I like connecting.
And then also on Sunday, there is a huge global, a global Dr. Levry, Reverend Michael, amazing people from all over the world doing this global virtual meditation. You could just look up hashtag Love Heals. It's going to really be phenomenal. Please jump on. It's really about sending love and the vibration of love to everyone, to all of us humans, to the earth, to everyone. So something I'm really passionate about. Please do it. Okay. Love you all. See you soon. Bye, Deb.